Oh my God, I was rushing into like my office to like get set up and everything, and Alex just like sees me. It's such like a little brother thing to say. Like I'm running in and he just goes, "Oh, thank God it's just audio, not video."
Here we are, and welcome to another episode of the Friday Night Movie Podcast, where I get together with my sisters, and we invite you all to join our family for an hour, which you may or may not regret. Calling in from California, you have my sister Becky. How are you, Beck?
How am I? I'm feeling like it's a good thing this is an audio only recording.
That kind of a day.
That kind of a day.
Are your eyes like puffy, like because you're so tired?
Oh, they're so puffy I couldn't open them this morning. They're sealed shut from puffiness.
I remember as a kid growing up when I realized you two were super tired when I'd see you, you would just look like your faces were puffy. I didn't know how.
Well, that gave you like what basically women. That just like gave you like.
But like I feel
women's
like I
secret tired.
I suffer from a particularly bad puppy eye syndrome when I'm tired. You know what? You know what's the most frustrating though? I is that yesterday morning I had to get up at 6 a.m. because I had to leave for a meeting by 7 a.m. I had to leave my house. And my baby normally wakes up, unfortunately, before 7. She gets up between 6 and 6:30. But yesterday I thought, who cares? No big deal. This is going to work out perfect, actually. I'll get up at 6. I'll get ready for my meeting. I'll nurse her at 6:30, hand her off to her dad, and go to my meeting. She slept until 7:30.
Oh, they always do that.
They always do that.
The one morning,
Yep,
I have to get up. And Vlad is going to have to, like, get up and be in charge of her.
Always when the friggin' dad has to take care of them.
That's
and then I sleep in.
There has never been a truer moment than in that moment in Life in Pieces when Colin Hanks' character gets arrested when he's supposed to be out getting things. And the wife, played by Zoe Lister-Jones, yells at him and says he always gets to rest.
It's just like, right, he's going to have to spend the night in jail.
So Lily, you are in the Canary Islands where like Spanish things happen to you all the time.
All the time. Like this podcast could just be the stupidity that befalls me in a foreign country. But I will say that I did have one of those days where like you wake up and you have to wear sunglasses in your own house. Like you're just like, I couldn't do it. I was just so tired from the week. It's so bright here. Yes, things befall me, and I feel like growing up in anywhere in the Northeast, you could possibly understand my shock in this story, because this is not something that we, three of us, or anybody listening to this podcast in a non-warm country can understand. I had a meeting with a quite important, I got like somehow connected with an important marketing company here who I get to work with, and I'm just really excited. And they do like stuff for Heineken, and they only do very large companies, but you know, we're going to work together on this project, and it's great. And I've gone to their offices a bunch of times, just like very cool and like modern, and
Googly.
Yeah, looks like Googly, exactly. I was going to say, I was like, is it Apple-y or is it Googly? And I guess you could be, it's like if Apple and Google had a tiny little baby in the Canary Islands. And
so everything's white, but there's colorful cereal.
Everything's white, and all their, like anything that would divide spaces is glass. So you can like.
Oh, that is very Apple-y. That is very Apple-y to have everything just be like glass. Like you're going to almost always walk into a glass wall.
Exactly. And
are there snacks?
There's some lofts. There's snacks and all that stuff.
Pre-snacks is very googly.
Right. And so, but this meeting, the director of the company came to my office at my gym. And so at one of our gyms. And so he comes to me and he wants to see the space and stuff like that. And we're in the small like director's office of the gym and having our meeting. And he's sitting in front of me, with his like Mac and like his iPad and like showing me all these different cool things, and being very serious and like professional. And he's a large man, and he's sitting in front of me, and all of a sudden he like just kind of like touches his ear, and I was like, oh.
He says he's listening to our podcast.
No, he does not. He touches his ear and flicks a cockroach.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh god!
His head onto the table, onto the desk between us.
Oh my god! It's threw up. Stop it!
It
Stop
is the size of like one of those Lincoln Continental cars. Like,
I can't hear it.
Or small cats.
So wait, I have a question. Is he surprised, or is this just like he's like the guy in Men in Black where there's cockroaches under his skin all the time, and he's just,
like literally
is he like Edgar suit?
I can't. Like my whole body is in.
I promise you, he is surprised.
Oh, okay.
He's in a suit. Like he's in a suit.
Okay, so he is not. This is not an Edgar suit from Men in Black situation.
Not an Edgar. He's in a normal suit, like a probably like a Hugo Boss suit or something like that. And he's so he flicks this like massive beast, small cat, large rat type size animal, onto the desk. I like, maybe if you grew up here or like mom in San Juan, you're more exposed to cockroaches, but I lost my shit. I stood up. Like Becky's reaction on the podcast is kind of what I did, except I was screaming and I stood up on the chair. And I just lost it, and the cockroach went under the table, because at that point it could be anywhere, right? Mm-hmm. And luckily, or not so luckily, my husband comes running into the meeting, and he's like, "What happened?" And I'm just like screaming, and he's like, "Lily, stop, calm down. You're making a scene." I'm like, "I'm making a scene. The cockroach is making a scene. It was on his head." And so he's like, "Stop it." He's like, "Look at me, like, calm the fuck down. And he's like, "Okay, he's like, first of all, I'm really sorry. That doesn't normally happen." And the guy goes, "Yeah, it doesn't normally happen to me either." And I was like, I'm losing it. And Jose he's like, "Let me just go get a broom, like figure it out." The guy rips a page out of his like agenda, his like notebook, whacks under the table, like just kills it. Because obviously he's from here, of the three of us.
Oh my God.
This like beast of a thing, this prehistoric creature falls onto the floor. I can't. I'm like, tears are streaming down my face. Jose comes in. He's like, "Oh, you got it already?" He's like, "Yeah, I got it." Jose like throws it in the garbage. Like, I sits down and goes right back to the meeting. And all I could say over and over again was, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry."
You gotta play it cool. When
I get that you have to play it cool, but like it was an out of body experience.
Fair enough. Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Well, so speaking of surprises,
it fell from the ceiling onto his head.
That's pretty funny.
That's insane.
So like you're just talking about marketing and creatures are falling on you. So speaking of surprises, I was getting ready to tape. And as usual, our parents are visiting one of us. Our parents are in town, and they were about to go out with the kids to their swimming class, but I wasn't sure who was staying in the house. And I heard lots of like thumping around that I just assumed was mom, like looking for something that she lost in the house. And I kept yelling up to mom and yelling up to mom.
Phone. Like there's a list.
Glasses
like
phone.
A rotating list.
Well, Allie has now gotten her excited over getting this app/magnetic thing you can put on your keys that will help you find your keys or your phone if you lose them. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking, oh, this is perfect. This is making the case because mom's just rummaging around things, looking for things. But once again, I was faked out by the robo-cleaner of the house that Allie has. This is running around the top floor, and I was yelling, "Why isn't anyone answering me? Why isn't anyone answering?" It's getting more and more
there's nobody home?
There's nobody there. It's just the robot.
This thing that haunts you.
Yeah. So there's that. Another thing I need to talk about with respect to our mother is that, and she's an inspiration for a lot of what we do on this show. And I think anyone who knows her, I think they feel extra connected when we talk about her. But people who don't, I think, feel like they know her. So imagine this. I forget where I was going. I was going to meet the family for dinner, and I got a phone call from mom who was driving, and she said, "I was on a long drive, and I was listening to the podcast. And I'm like, yay, Mom. That's great.
The way she announces it.
I'm thrilled. She says, I was listening to episode 35. And admittedly, we're on episode 43 right now. I don't know them all by number. I know them by maybe the topic at this point. At one point, I knew them by number, but I don't know them by number. I'm like, oh, which one's episode 35? She goes, the one where you said you don't like my chicken burgers. She said,
I mean,
38 years I've been making chicken burgers.
And Becky went to town on her chicken burgers, and I recall I didn't say anything.
And I was like, yeah, Mom.
You'll still be her favorite.
Well, no, I said, yeah, Mom, they're awful. She was like, how come I have to find out on the podcast? And I said, she was, I'm never going to make them for you again. And I was like, oh, thank goodness.
Okay, well, then I guess it all worked out.
And then she says, she said, I'm calling you because you're the oldest, but your sister said that she had a bunch in the fridge, and she was going like, oh, Mom, why did you make these? She goes, I'm never going to make them for her again. And I said, oh, she's probably going to be thankful, Mom.
I only have 2 left.
To
be fair, there were a dozen of them, and I've eaten all of them but 2.
And then I see them. My mom and Dad arrived, and then they had listened to some more episodes, and Dad says, so, ridiculing your parents on the podcast, huh? And I just looked at him, and I said, Dad, we really mostly make fun of Mom. And he seemed fine with that, so.
Yeah. He's like, come on, I know.
Moved on with that. And I told Mom that she's a part of the show, and she said, yeah, I know. In that way that she goes, I know.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Like, she's in on it. She's so cute.
Exactly. She's the best.
Mm-hmm.
And
can you promise me, though, when we're all together, like, one of you has to just casually be like, Mom, can you make us chicken burgers tonight? Because I'm actually genuinely curious if this is one of those mom things that, like, are so hurtful. They, have, like, little mini amnesias. Like, she won't remember that happened because it was so hurtful.
No, the other point I made is that, Mom, you make all of my favorite foods. Like, if you list my 10 favorite foods that are not...
Every time you come home.
Exactly. Whenever I come home, I said, Mom, it's okay to have 1 or 2 fails. You need that so people believe your credibility. She says, 38 years I've been making those for you.
Wow.
On another note, today is my elder daughter's birthday that we're taping this. And the younger daughter was having some issues with the birthday and articulated it as I was so impressed she did. She said, look, I'm having a hard time with the birthday kid getting so much attention. And I thought that was really articulate.
I'm sorry, your 5-year-old articulated that to you?
Oh, 100%, and to Mom last night. And so I said, all right, guys, we're going to go do something together because
without any tantrum or any...
No, there was some whining and stuff like that around it, but this was what she articulated as we were asking her what was wrong. And
my kid just asked for pretzels.
Well, your kids too. No, because of your kid eating pretzels, I ate half a bag of pretzels last night because I've been craving them ever since he was eating those pretzels.
I love some pretzels.
Literally.
And the ones we had were the honey wheat ones from Trader Joe's that are...
Forget it. I can't even open a bag of those.
Well, neither can I. Neither should I be allowed to. So... I take the kids and I said, look, in our family, we are happy for other people on their happy occasions, on their birthdays, when good things happen to them. That's the way that's the way we were taught in my family. But I want to do something, the 3 of us together. This is, by the way, at 6 o'clock in the morning. Come downstairs. And I pull out the iPad and I said, we're going to watch something together. And the elder child looks at me and goes, we're totally going to watch that video where you stood up at the slide and blocked the slide at Lily's birthday and ruined Lily's birthday, aren't we?
Oh my God, that is definitely footage that the internet should see.
So my 7-year-old knew 100% where I was going to teach them a lesson. So we then sat and we watched home videos of Lily's first birthday, which I think are some of the most epic home videos of all time. It's probably the most watched tape. And among the many events, which I think perhaps we should release in conjunction with this episode, is me sticking my finger into Lily's birthday cake and eating
repeatedly
eating the frosting.
Really?
Oh yeah. And the kids,
and
the kids thought this was a
wasn't there a parent
riot.
telling you not to do it, like
Yeah.
over and over again?
Oh, Mom. Oh, and Beck,
Yeah,
you'll
Mom
be
was like, stop doing that.
Beck, by the way, you'll be really happy when the kids saw young Ma. They kept saying, "Oh, it's Tia Becky."
Aww.
Yeah.
I really am
And then when they
melting
see her as a
into
baby,
her.
they'll be like, "Oh, it's Miri."
Yeah.
Like Becky at all ages.
And so we kept watching, and then we got to this fateful scene where, in my protest of Lily's birthday, we had a little slide in the backyard, and all the kids were taking turns sliding down the slide, and I got to the slide, and I stood at the top and just looked out and refused to move. And a line formed, and eventually all the kids are getting mad, and Mom comes, grabs me by the hand, and makes me slide down.
And then she took you inside.
Yeah, then I was ejected
Yeah.
from the party, and that was the lesson
Ejected.
that was the lesson I taught the kids. They were like, "Well, what happened to you?" I'm like, "I had to leave. You're not allowed to behave that way at someone else's birthday." So there's an epilogue that I didn't know about that dear friend of ours and dear friend of the podcast, returning guest, Alon, plays a role in. So we pan back later to the slide, and there's a ruckus going on the slide, and there's Alon, looking exactly like his own kids now, by the way. Wow, spitting image. Standing at the top of the slide, crying and being upset with a line of kids behind him. And I'm watching this being like, this does not strike me as something Alon would do. He's such a sweet
Was he just
kid.
copying you?
Well, I was like, maybe he was copying me. You know, I was the older kid. And then it pans to the left, and Lily is climbing upwards back the slide, terrorizing all of the
me.
bigger kids on the slide. And I
Which my
realized
kid does all the time.
it looked
And this is
like
Lily's first birthday?
it looked like Lily's son in a dress. It was the exact
my
image of your
birthday.
son.
I'm doing that on my first birthday?
Yeah, terrorizing the kids 4 years older than you.
Jeez. My kid does that all the time.
And then last but not least, in this little trip down memory lane, because I feel like we're getting to some like origins of the Friday Night Movie family here, is that in this video I reminded myself where the origin of the intro lines I use for the program. So at the beginning of every program, I start with "Here we are," and every
Oh my God, you're right.
Videos.
every single
All of the
home
videos.
Here we are.
Mom.
That's mom. That's mom.
and Dad, both of them. Here we
Dad, both
are
of them.
at Cape
We
May.
are at that park
Here we
across
are,
the street
yeah.
from our house for another barbecue. Here we are. Oh my God.
Here we are at Mont Saint Anne.
Mind blown. Wow.
So that is where the origin of the opening lines of the podcast. And again, since this is a family-themed episode, where we're really leaning in on bringing folks into the family, I'm glad to share that. And hopefully we'll start sharing some clips of some home videos. And then later, I watched Lily's bat mitzvah with the kids, and we watched Hotel Transylvania in the theater a couple weeks ago, and there's a big scene involving the song The Macarena. And I had told the kids this was a song from when we were kids, and they didn't believe me. No, it's a new song. And then I showed
Really
them
funny.
like 5 straight minutes of Lily, Julia Berdugo, the twins, Karen and Liat. I can't believe I remembered their names.
Wow.
Were those their
I don't
names?
even remember their names.
Julie Schlesinger, and then Becky, loyally by Lily's side, very seriously doing the Macarena,
The Macarena.
in a sea of relatives and friends and family. And the kids just
Amazing.
thought it was amazing. They were blown away that you guys did the Macarena. And I did not.
Makes me feel really old.
And they kept
Yeah, I
asking me,
feel
where were you? Were you having
stupid.
fun at this party? And I said, yeah, I haven't told them the full story about what happened to me at Lily's bat mitzvah.
Why not? But you could tell it for the podcast.
You want me to tell for the podcast? I'll tell it very quickly.
Yeah.
So at Lily's bat mitzvah, due to the Cuban heritage in our family, the smoking of cigars was a
Tradition.
tradition. And I was, I think, 16 at the time. And our uncles and cousins all got a bunch of cigars. And they went into the lounge of the hotel, and everybody. And this is when you could
weren't
still smoke
16
inside.
Yet. You were 15.
Oh well, either way, you could smoke inside. That's the era this
Oh
was.
my
That's how old
God.
we are.
You could smoke inside in
Yep.
Montreal. Mm-hmm. And they gave me my first cigar, and I had like half a cigar because Tio Harry didn't want me to get sick, and I thought I was a big shot, so I had another whole cigar, and the day goes on, and then suddenly, like, the lights black out on me, and I get super nauseous, and I spent a good chunk of the rest of Lily's bat mitzvah throwing up in the bathroom, throwing up on the street. Every single relative, like, came in the bathroom and, like, heard me dying. It was terrible.
Oh, my God.
So there's definitely, like, a good hour and a half of Lily's bat mitzvah.
But, like, if we think about it, was that somehow in your subconscious you not wanting to go down the slide?
You're like, I'm just going to spend Lily's bat mitzvah barbecue. Did you tell your girls that story?
I did not.
Like,
no, I was trying to make the
I
other
need to
point.
steal the attention somehow.
I will make that story late. I'll tell them that story when I reinforce to them not to smoke, which I already have scared them quite a lot about already.
Fair enough.
So, all that being said, those walks down memory lane, let's get into talking about all the various topics we're going to talk about, because we're just going to do a little rapid fire around the horn today. There's no specific movie. We've all been watching a bunch of different things, and what's on your guys' mind?
I have a very annoying situation because I have finished Money Heist, yet have no one to talk about it with. And as much as, like, my husband loves shows and movies, he does not need to go deep as much as, like, we do. And I'm like, I really want somebody to watch it, but you guys are, it's not in English, so you're not going to watch.
But maybe I'll start it tonight with, we'll start it tonight with Mom and Dad.
Yeah, but you have to watch it with subtitles. You're not going to watch it dubbed.
Yeah, but Mom and Dad watch shows with subtitles anyway.
Yeah, and it'd be fun to watch.
That's true. To be fair, like, there's no way they understand anybody on Broadchurch. For sure.
Oh, no, we have to watch that show with subtitles. We watch Broadchurch.
Right, or Game of Thrones. Like, nobody understands. So, yeah, but, and I mean, one of those things where I know Becky's not going to watch it, but I love sometimes there's these unique situations where I get to tell Becky the entire plot of a movie.
No,
and
exactly I want to watch it. I want to watch it. I'm going to watch it tonight. I'll start it tonight.
I recommend it, but at the same time, in that classic Netflix way,
there's like 2 or 3 extra hours that are not needed.
Exactly. In each season, I have to warn you that there are definitely 2 full maybe not the entire episode, but just 2 or 3 episodes that really drag out and are repetitive. And you're just like, this could have been 1 season. And they made it into 2. Maybe, 2 is fine. But the ending, there's a few scenes in season 2. Season 2 I like a lot. And it's kind of part 1 and part 2 of the same story. And in season 2, there's a scene where I literally was like on the couch jumping, like, oh my god!
Was there a Buckaroo Banzai reference or a break-in reference?
No, there are no. I'm pretty sure there are no. There's only one scene with one, I think, American pop culture reference once, and other than that, it's pretty just like straightforward, bank heist stuff, just in Spanish. I'm curious for you guys to watch it because there's some very like Spanish things about it. It's an action kind of thing, but it's very dramatic. It's like a little bit novella-ish at sometimes. But the ending, I'm a sucker for the ending. I thought the ending was good. To star-crossed lovers from different parts of the world give up everything to be together, because I feel like that's your criteria now. For not exactly. No, that's not like. While that is the most important thing when I like something, that is not the case here. But I thought the ending was. I appreciated the ending. Cool. I was not upset with it. Anything else on your mind? No, yeah, I don't know if anybody else is ever going to watch this show. No, I'm going to start watching it tonight. It's official. No, I'll start watching it at some point soon. I think it's a great movie. I think it would be cool. Stuff on my mind, guys. All right. Wait, I'm just going to say one more thing. You know how they redid the dragon tattoo thing? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. In the States, and I guess that didn't go very well because they never did any of the others. Well, no, that movie's awesome. I think there was just like creative issues and contract issues that had to do with continuing that movie. I don't think it had to do with. They're making another dragon tattoo movie, but just with a different cast. I didn't know that. I thought it just like never went. Well, they're making the one of the book that like takes place after the 3 main books. Oh, I don't know. Either way, now I have to go back and watch the Swedish version because I want to know what happens in the story. Yeah, I mean the Swedish one is not good, but it's good at the same time. Yeah, but so I think this Money Heist show, somebody in like Hollywood should buy the rights and then make a really cool movie out of it, like an hour-and-a-half movie, like a 90-minute movie would be amazing. # all the good parts. Yep, exactly.
I just want to know before I watch this with Mom and Dad how much awkward sex, like
there's definitely for sure.
Game of Thrones.
Like for no reason in the first episode. No, it's not as bad as Game of Thrones, but for no reason in the first episode, and I've like showed this to Costa so many times. I'm like, see. So when we watched the first episode, he was like, oh, you're right. There's no reason for that scene. Why are there butts and boobs everywhere and everybody's bouncing around and grinding? I'm like, because it in Spanish film, it just has to be there for no reason. Some sex scene.
Okay.
So.
Beck, what's on your mind?
What's on my mind is that I have this work trip coming up. I have to travel all the way from California to Europe. It's going to be like an 11-hour flight, and I don't know what to watch. Like, what should I watch, guys?
So I just got on our Amazon Final Space, which I think you could easily download. That's one of the reasons. Also, there's a whole season 2 of Detroiters you could go with. One of the things I wanted to bring up today is My So-Called Life I'm adding. So I don't know if you watched that show back in the day.
I've seen,
sure.
Yeah, I've seen that whole series a couple times. Okay. It's one of my all-time,
so you can maybe
old-timey favorites.
Maybe throw that on. And have you seen Brigsby Bear yet?
No, I know I'm
hasn't.
saving it.
Right.
I haven't watched it yet. I guess I could watch it. I want to watch that kind of like with someone. I was gonna like watch it with Vlad or something, but maybe I'll save it for the plane. Is that a good plane?
I watched it on the plane. It made me like a little bit teary, but
okay.
I watched it on the plane and I enjoyed it on the plane. There was actually it's almost in some ways it's a really good small screen movie.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I don't say that in a condescending way. Like it's intimate.
You should probably watch Overboard.
Oh,
the
yeah,
new
that's a
Overboard.
perfect
That's a perfect one to watch on the plane. The problem is that I'm traveling with like work colleagues, and I don't want them to judge me.
Are you sitting together?
Around.
I should have my own seat, like my own like little.
I hope you
be sitting alone. No, I mean my own seat. I should be in my own row. I should be in my own row.
Are they rolling you into the overhead bin? Like what do you mean?
There's been
if there's enough budget, I'll get my own whole
Here's what happened. I booked all the flights for the crew, and I went in, and when I booked the flights, I like picked everyone's seat. So obviously I gave myself like the best seat, right? So I have like a window seat. I'm sitting all by myself. Then I get a text message. I sent out the itineraries to everyone, and I get a text from someone on the crew being like, oh, hey, by the way, I changed my seat, and it kind of like messed up everyone else's, and, just by the way. So like, okay, whatever. And I go back and I check. He didn't just change his seat. He took my seat.
Ooh.
What?
He like went in and removed me from my seat and then took it because it was the best choice.
Oh, boy.
That is insane.
Better remove him back.
Yeah, remove him back.
We had a text exchange. He apologized. I'm like, that's not happening.
So
and did you put yourself
say
back in the seat? Or do you have to sit on his lap? You now have to sit on his lap.
We now have to share the seat. We're going to do a share seat situation.
That is so weird. Many years ago, I was traveling. So this is like long enough that I feel like there's a statute of limitation on this. I was traveling with one of my bosses, and the boss asked me where I was sitting on the plane, and I was like, why do you need to know where I'm sitting on the plane? And the person replied and said, so we can sit together. And I said, nope, not going to happen.
So what did you say? I don't know my seat. You literally said, I don't want to sit next to you.
Yeah, I was like, no, sorry. I'm like, I sleep, I watch movies. Like, we're not chit-chatting for 13 hours.
We talked about this, and you told me you were also like, I don't want people to see what I'm watching.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't want people to see what I'm watching. I don't want people to see me snoring and drooling. And
I was actually on a work trip a few years ago with
see how much I love airplane food.
Oh, okay. That is embarrassing, Shai. People should not know that.
When someone doesn't finish theirs, I'm always like, oh, I want that so bad. Can I please have your mashed potatoes?
It has so much salt in it.
Can I please have your mashed potatoes and that brownie?
And like kind of dry, the brownie, and like...
Have you ever taken the cheese off the plane and like tried to save it for later? The oil separates from the cheese.
What I don't get is why people are always saving their yogurts from flights. Every time someone comes to visit me, they have a yogurt with them they got on the flight.
No, that's just Mom, because she always shows up at your house with every time I see half an avocado, I say, "Ooh, Allie, save that for Mom."
Wait. But Shai, back to your story. I was once traveling with a very difficult colleague. And I realized when we got to the airport, we were sitting next to each other. So we were sitting like in a row together, and I like secretly went to the gate agent and I was like, you need to give me any other seat on this plane. I don't care what it is. And she's like, okay, but all I have is like a middle row in the back of the plane by the bathroom. And I'm like, done. Just get. And I sat on like a 5.5-hour flight in the middle.
That is desperation.
For the record, I like sitting by the bathroom because I always have to go to the bathroom on airplane flights. And most people don't want to sit back there, so it's pretty awesome. I told you I had a recent flight where I ended up with a window seat, and the person on the outside scolded me and the other guy for going to the bathroom and told us not to drink water for the rest of the flight.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. No, this person, we got back from a bathroom run. We did 8 hours into this very long flight, and the drinks were coming around, and she was like, please don't drink any more water.
Oh, my God.
I just sat really scared in the corner. Oh, Beck, other things to recommend for you on the plane while we're talking about Amazon? The Amazon Prime series like Bosch or Sneaky Pete or Goliath, any of those three, think of them like reading a crime novel on the beach. And so just download a season one of those. They're only like 8 or 10 episodes. They go really fast. Each season is pretty... There's cliffhangers a little bit, but they're generally open and shut. And so it's like you're reading an installment of one of John Grisham's lawyer's books, or I don't know who's in a Jack Ryan, but not Jack Ryan, because Jack Ryan is a series coming out later with Krasinski, which I bet will probably also be good because Amazon seems to be delivering well on those types of series.
All right.
Basically series that your friends' dads read at the beach. That's what these shows are like. Mm-hmm. Or mom read and couldn't remember that she read.
Yeah, mom can't remember anything she read. No, that's not fair. That's not true.
So,
that's not true.
Anything else? I have some other things to discuss.
No, that's good. My concern was I'm traveling. Let's talk about recommendations. So that's super helpful. I'm good.
Oh, and Black Lightning.
And Black Lightning.
And I would say we're going to do a Dear White People episode later, but now that I've seen the full first season of Dear White People, it is really, first of all, it's awesome. Second of all, it's a show where the whole thing comes together when you've seen the whole season. It matters that you've seen all of the different parts, because that's kind of the way it's made, is so you see all the different perspectives, and it really blew me away. So I'm on the second season than that. So that's a little more serious than Bosch. Bosch is, grumpy crime guy fighting crime. So let's see. On my mind, we've been watching Broadchurch, and we blazed through season 2, which was fantastic. We're already working into season 3. David Tennant, man. I mean, I guess it's not like David Tennant isn't known as one of the best actors, but wow, is that guy one of the best actors? And
is he though? Is he, like, do people know him?
Yeah, I mean, I think in certain circles people know how incredible he is, for sure.
Like, I'm not sure anybody listening might even know who he is.
David Tennant, he was one of the Doctor Who's. He was the bad guy in the first season of Jessica Jones.
That's why people would know him.
And my wife basically views... So you know how Allie feels about Jax Teller's buns on Sons of Anarchy? That's how she feels about them buns. That's how she feels all about David Tennant. Every time he's on the screen, she's like,
your wife is
so
a mystery.
Handsome. She's like, he's so handsome.
Is he though?
Yeah, she's like,
okay.
Yeah.
But his IMDb reads one of Scotland's greatest ever actors.
Yeah, he is really one of the best actors I've ever seen.
Ever.
And so here's my segue into the next part, which is that he is also one of the voice actors on this show, Final Space on TBS. Where he has a totally different accent. And Final Space is directed by Mike Roberts, who also did Dallas and Robo, which I love, and Final Space is terrific. It's another show that manages, and I Instagrammed and tweeted about it, but it's another show that has just like this perfect mix of Saturday morning cartoon humor, but like an adult theme, but not so cynical that it's like super weird and you couldn't just enjoy it for being a fun narrative. Like, the relationships between the characters make it really great, and so I'm loving that. I'm about halfway through the first season. And Fred
Armisen voices.
Oh, Fred Armisen is so funny. Yeah. Everything. It is a really amazing. It's laugh out loud funny, but it also has a great sci-fi adventure and great character relationships going on at the same time. And there is a character that is like a cat alien, and his name is Avocado, like a cat. and his son is called Little Cato.
Oh, so that is cute.
There's a lot of really great jokes like that.
Can I just make it little, like, speaking of aliens, just quickly?
Yeah.
Before you keep going, I just heard that they may have found life on Mars.
Really?
What?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of life?
I mean,
on
like
Mars?
the guy from Angels
like,
and Airwaves and Blink-182. Do you know he started, like, he left music to start an organization to look for aliens? Is that what you're talking about?
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah, no,
Very
he's like really serious about it.
But like little
good luck to
creatures,
him.
like little creatures, or
No, I
just
think
like
if anything, it'd be like an
organisms?
organism, because they found an actual, very like deeply hidden body of water that's very high in salt. So Shai, you might like it, like you like airplane food, maybe.
Oh, what
That'd be
does
something you're
Mars's
interested in.
lake mean for the search for life on the red planet?
Right.
I
So they
don't-
said basically, like, if they found this salty lake, I mean, if it's like the Dead Sea, I don't know what would live in there, but they found like a salty, very hidden lake, then there's a very good chance that there could be a living organism in the water, and then that would be the first alien life we ever found. Life is life, man. So, and right now, Mars is the closest
Fascinating.
ever to Earth it is all year. And I don't know about you guys, but when I go, like, if I look up at the sky outside my window, you can see it super, like, fiery red in the sky. It's pretty amazing. I recommend that to everybody right now.
So you know that I'm
cool.
deep in on aliens, and I love the Ancient Aliens show. If you guys ever watch the Ancient Aliens show on the History Channel, where they talk all about the possibility of alien life, and there's that famous guy who always says aliens. It's on there. There's tons of memes about this guy. It was on Netflix for a while. I watched every episode. And it was around the time that Prometheus came out, so I definitely slightly buy into alien astronaut theory, and which is the theory that aliens, like all the technology and things from Earth, and like the early religions, are all actually based on the fact that we were visited
Like-
by aliens a long time
Like
ago.
the Mayans.
Exactly, like that kind of stuff. That's all that stuff is wrapped up in alien astronaut theory. So I love stuff like that. On the same time, don't we feel like poking the Mars alien bear is not the best idea?
Because they're so close to us.
It's like really close. I mean, like,
Well, I feel like if there's any bear to poke, it's the one that we can like keep an eye on that's close to us, and that is only like in the form of maybe some sort of like plant. So
right, but think of kudzu vine. Remember that book about the kudzu vine when we were little? They bring it.
What?
So- yeah, it's the vine. It was brought over. It was, I don't know. People brought it over to. I want to say.
Is this a French book?
No, it's like the Frankenstein fish in the Potomac. It's you bring a species from outside of where it's supposed to be, and then it eats everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I see. No, I hope they don't bring it here. Leave it
Okay.
there.
The alien life?
Right,
Oh,
that
if
would
they
be
find it, they're
mean.
definitely going to bring it here.
Oh,
You know they're
that's a
going to
good-
do that.
That's pretty mean to bring it here, right? We always talk about how we don't want aliens abducting people from here. And if we abduct,
We would 100% abduct like some. Yeah, I don't put it past us. It's pretty evil.
it's pretty okay. Well, I'm glad we found something, but I hope they study it there and leave it there. I don't
Right.
really.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt. You were talking about Final Space, Mike Roberts.
So Final Space, awesome. And then other things on my mind are the fact that I bought in a used record store, the CD Seller, my favorite place in the area. I found a full DVD series of My So-Called Life, which I'm going to share with you guys and let so you guys can watch. I don't know if you watched the show at the time, but this show is really important to Allie. I never.
We both said we watched the show.
I've never completed more than a few minutes of it. And
Which show?
So here,
My So-Called Life.
so
Oh, I loved it.
I know that there's a Jordan Canelato thing, and that's basically is that the
Yes,
reason
there's a
why
thing.
all like high school
No,
women like
not
the
just
bad guys
him.
growing up, or was that just like a symptom of?
Well, I think that like that goes way back further than. I mean, that's Rebel Without a Cause. Like that goes way back beyond My So-Called Life. I just think it's the first time. Probably, I mean, you had Dylan McKay. What more bad guy do
Okay.
you want than him? From us growing up, but it's like the first time you have it in a very grungy, not shiny, pretty way.
God, no,
You know what I
they're
mean? Kind of
they're
like
not. These people are
depressing.
not very pretty. There's an episode called Jordan Can't Read, or Jordan Canelato.
Oh,
Can't
yeah. I
Yeah,
know
he's
exactly that episode.
dyslexic, right?
Yep. No, he like literally can't read.
But is it because he's a learning disability?
Now, is there a connection between this show and Felicity and Dawson's Creek, or just in my mind? Or
there is not.
They're not. They're not in a shared universe.
They're enough years apart that they're very different from each other.
Not a shared universe.
They're because Dawson's Creek came out in 97, Felicity 98, maybe 97, 98.
And
When's My So-Called Life? Like
90s.
Before that.
It's in the
94?
90s.
It's before she got. It's before Romeo and Juliet.
95, 94.
Yes,
94, 95.
And I know it doesn't seem like a lot of years, but it was enough that they're like very distinctly different.
And
worlds.
Dawson's Creek is 98.
And there's no connection between her character on this show and Homeland.
No.
Probably not.
Okay. For some reason in my mind, this show and the Americans and Homeland for some reason in my mind, this show, the Americans and Homeland are all supposed to be and Felicity are all supposed to be kind of in a shared universe.
Well, I mean, have you watched The Americans?
No, I can't. It stresses me out. It takes place where I live. Yeah,
I know. Literally, it's like everything happens in Falls Church. They're always like, Falls Church, Falls Church. And like when Hosta and I have gone like driving to your house from either Philly or from a train station, I'm always like, oh my God, it's like The Americans.
we got held up on The Americans because in the second to last season, it gets so boring, we can't watch it. And so we never finished it. I've heard the last season is actually really good, but I'm considering just skipping the rest of this season and the second to last season and moving on to the last one. I literally can't watch it. I don't even know. I can't even watch it.
I will say I'm watching enough TV these days that I'm more willing to miss parts of things and not finish something than I ever have. Like before, I was a completist, meaning if I started a show, I'm watching to the last season no matter what. Now I'm willing to put a book down, if you will.
I abandon. You made 2 references to reading books this episode. What is going on?
Well, no. This is because TV shows and movies are
trying to make people think like
are my books. These are my books.
That is a lie, goddammit. He does not read.
He does not read. Don't get your hopes up.
Anyway, I have another random fact I have stuck in my head that has to come out.
Do it.
Do you know that on My So-Called Life, Rayanne, her... Mm-hmm. I was going to say Felicity.
She seems like she's bad news just from the opening scene of that show.
Of course she's bad news.
Okay. She's bad news.
But she's also like has a heart of gold.
Is she like Busy Phillips's character on Freaks and Geeks?
More bad news than
that. More bad news, more like artsy, kind of like more hippie, just sort of wild, I think. But so she grew up to be like a kind of countess or something. She has a name. She has a noble, like,
is she like the countess
name.
Is she the countess on Real Housewives? Like, because one of them is a countess.
One of them is a countess.
How does one become a countess?
They marry a count?
We have counts in America, or is that just like a European
thing? Just Count Chocolate. That's the only one I get.
We only have Count Chocolate.
Wait, hold on a second. Did you say Count Chocolate? Like, so is chocolate a mineral or chocolate?
Like, whoever his wife is the Countess of America. I don't think we have any other count.
But he's Count Chocula.
Oh, he's Count Chocolate, not chocolate? Oh.
No.
Okay, whatever. You got what I meant. Maybe in Canada he was Count Chocolate. That's why I think
it was chocolate. It's always been chocolate.
I don't think we had him in Canada growing up, to be honest. I think
we had
because they couldn't translate his name.
Cereal.
They couldn't translate his name to French, so we weren't allowed to have it in Quebec.
Then what did we have?
Le Comte? Do you think we had Le Comte?
No, I don't think we had Le Comte. I think
Le Comte de Chocolat.
Oh, now I'm so annoyed because that was a really good joke, but I ruined it by completely messing up his name.
So Count Chocolate.
Count Chocolate, Count Chocolat, and his wife, I think, are the only official countesses of the United States. Otherwise, it's like a British thing, right?
Okay, wait. So Rayanne is a countess in the United States or in Chocula? Choculania.
No, yeah. So she lives. Like I can look it up, but whatever. The point, I don't think we need all the details.
We don't promise accuracy on this program.
Right. She lives in Europe somewhere and married some kind of prince count man, and they have like a castle and children. And I think like her life is sort of running the castle and running its sort of like philanthropy and publicity stuff to like help the castle like run or whatever. And yeah, she like that's what she does, which I find fascinating. Very different from Claire Danes'.
Like, how do you even have this update for us?
That's great. I mean, we did not plan in advance that we were going to talk about My So-Called Life. I just happened to have had it on my desk, and it
was really, really one of my all-time favorites. It was very, very into the show. I mean, many years later on DVD.
Allie's very serious about this show. She knows.
I'm just going to remind everybody that I met Jared Leto in April, and he was super nice. Okay.
You met Jared Leto? You did.
Yeah, on the street in New York.
What'd you talk to him about?
No, I just was like, "Are you Jared Leto?" Which is worse.
I thought we did this conversation.
I've said this on the podcast.
Oh, I don't remember.
And he was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm filming a thing here, whatever." He's like filming like a music video, and he had all these people around him asking questions, and like I think they were filming fans following him. And he was super nice. He was like very relaxed, very tall.
Very cool. Okay, so then the other thing I want to talk about is my dear friend Anne Louise. Hello, Anne Louise, who listened to our podcast and who is the one who recommended the Detroiters, who brought us the Detroiters. She emailed me earlier today about recommendations for her brother in Philadelphia. It was like one of these quick fire things. Where should he eat? So I want to go down my list and I want to make sure that I did right. Okay. So the first thing I put on the list was Reading Terminal Market, because there's every kind of amazing food there. It's super cool, indoors. You can get a lot there, and it's awesome.
Mm-hmm. I love how indoors is a very important like fact for you when you recommend things to people.
Yeah, and I stayed strictly on food. I didn't dabble in all the other, please touch museums and zoos and things like that.
How old is he?
He has a family.
Is he 6? Does he have his own Instagram account? Is he 6? What are you doing?
I love Lily and I have the same reaction. Nice.
I'm crying. So Reading Terminal Market. Then for the cheesesteak, I said downtown Pat's and Jack's, and that they had to order with onions and American cheese or whiz, but if they ordered any other kind of fancy cheese, if there is one, or any other kind of thing, I don't know them. And then, but I said the real best cheesesteak, as far as our family is concerned, is out at D'Alessandro's, which isn't exactly downtown, so if they don't, Pat's and Jack's will be amazing. They'll love it. Then I went to Federal Donuts.
Wait, you didn't say anything about Donkey's Place?
This is in Philadelphia. This is in Philadelphia proper. Okay. I did not get into Donkey's Place because these folks are visiting from out of town, out of the country.
6-year-olds don't have it. 6-year-olds don't drive. Of course. Sorry, I didn't realize.
I started writing about Donkey's Place, but then I felt like that was maybe too advanced for first-time visitors. What are the chances
of this toddler having a driver's license? He should just stay in Philadelphia.
So... Then I went to Federal Donuts, and I said, "This is a must. I never go to Philly without eating a hot, fresh donut."
Yes, Donuts. That has to happen.
And for some reason, they only sell that and Korean style fried chicken, and so you can also get that as well. And then I mentioned the City Diner near Mom and Dad's because it's a 24-hour diner, and I love eating there. And then I wrote a lengthy paragraph about Philadelphia soft pretzels and how one should not get some things from some kind of schwach thing like Aunt Annie's, those like soggy bread logs that they serve, and that a proper figure 8 Philadelphia soft pretzel where they're all chunked next to each other is what one must seek out, and that the Philly Pretzel Factory is not a bad place to get it because they let you order pretzels in either briefcase or platter packages, so you can get like a carton briefcase just filled to the top with rows and rows of soft pretzels. And then I mentioned chicken wings at Moriarty's, and then for a bonus, Chickies and Pete's French fries, because those are the French fries they serve at Lincoln Financial Field, but apparently there are restaurants that serve it as well, and they are delicious crab fries. But I don't think there's actual crab on them. They're just called crab fries. So was that good? Did I miss anything?
Yeah. I mean, that sounds like pretty good.
Right? That's it, like off the top of my head. Like
this person's definitely need Pepto-Bismol after your recommendations.
Oh, and I did say that aside from only going to one cheesesteak place, they had to go to all of these places and report back. Because, you know, I didn't recommend anything that I don't think has to happen when you visit Philadelphia. So all of those things have to happen. Mm-hmm. All right, cool. Well, that's really kind of the end of the show.
Except that I just want to double check that Rayanne from My So-Called Life is the Countess of Devon in England.
Devon Park, like where we used to live?
No. It is Devon. She married the son of the Earl of Devon, who is Lord Charles Courtenay. And yeah, she lives like a castle.
Cool.
So she did well for herself.
All right. Well, shout-outs. Who's got shout-outs?
I wrote mine down, so I will not forget. Pam, our dear Pam, who was on the last episode, our honorary Sib. I don't know. I want to do a shout out to Pam and a question to Pam of if it was a typo on her Instagram and Twitter where she wrote that she was on Family Night Movie Podcast.
No, maybe she was on that podcast too.
No, because she's referring to us. And I read it and I was like, is she being like, oh, they're like a family? Or did she just not? She made a mistake that it's Friday Night Movie
Maybe
Podcast.
It's because she thinks we're family.
That's what I'm hoping that's what it is.
Or maybe there's another podcast with 3 neurotic siblings that also had her on, and she's really grateful for that.
Perhaps.
Becky, any shout-outs?
I thought we were recording tomorrow, and I had an extra day to prepare. So, can you come back to me?
Sure. I have a few. One, shout out to Lindsay, a.k.a. Aphoros XII, one of our dear friends. She was on an episode that Mom listened to. Mom really loved the episode and told me that she is going to order Pancake for the Table plates from the sundogsfire.com website. But also Lindsay, who has a July birthday like my older child, drew my older child a very special drawing where one of her original characters, Kat, is delivering a cake to my older child, and my older child has red glasses, and she really emphasizes them, and it was really special. So thank you to Lindsay. You're a great friend. And I also want to send out a shout out to Purple Dragon of the duo of Purple Dragon and Pink Rabbit, who do the We Don't Know What We're Talking About podcast, because Purple Dragon jumped all over my Final Space post, and she was super into it. And I always, whenever I'm listening to their podcast, I'm always thinking how many cool things I like in common with those folks. And I thought I found this super obscure thing that no one else was necessarily paying attention to, and I was psyched that she was into it too. Shout out to Jacqui Kaplan, another friend of the podcast, because Fish Tour has started, and Jackie's a big Fish fan, and she is checking out a whole bunch of shows, and I'm following all of that. And then last but not least, to the greatest babysitters of all time, to the 3 Jedeikin sisters, Tamara, Nomi, and Miri, who during the video watching...
drank from the fountain of youth, because those 3 women do not age. And they are stunning and gorgeous inside and out.
And I found a shot of the 3 of them with their amazing dad, Leon, in the background. And I sent them,
right there in the back.
And I sent a screenshot of them, and it was fun for all of us to reconnect. And they're just great humans who took care of us in our early days in Montreal, and they're doing wonderful things. So, sending lots of love out to them from our family to theirs. And, of course, to cousin Vanessa.
Yes.
I figured Becky was
on the road with her family. Vanessa. I don't know if she'll have time to listen to this, as she's seems to be traveling with her family, but they're very cute pictures that I've seen.
Becky?
Yes, shout out to cousin Vanessa.
Oh, okay.
Becky's come up with nothing.
Okay. No, I was gonna shout out to, when
I was worried Becky wasn't gonna even remember that, which is why I said it.
No, I was gonna do it, and then you stole it from me. It was gonna be the grand finale. So that was my shout out, cousin Vanessa, and shout out to all the cousins.
That's
all
true.
The cousins.
We've got about 75. No, we got about 90 of them at this point. So we've got a lot. So at one point we'll have all of them on. It'll be loud.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's fun doing this, guys. I love you. Have a great week.
Love you.
Oh, shout out to the aliens if you're out there.
To the aliens, if you're listening,
we hope
aliens. You like. Please, if the aliens are listening, please subscribe to the podcast.
And rate. More importantly, rate us.
Rate us and leave a review.
Rate us.
Oh, and
say something nice.
Sorry,
Don't say
where can
anything
people
wrong.
follow you? Beck, people can follow you.
Paper BK Princess. And, right now you're not giving me much of a reason to be on Twitter. Start a conversation.
No, you're supposed to tweet at people, or maybe respond to any of the tweets I send to you.
You do. You know
I
what? Sometimes
tweeted at one of the guys
I don't actually check Twitter that often. I'm sorry, Shai. And I see the notifications.
I'm
he
liked tweet.
I'm looking at my tweets right now, and I'll reply to all of them. I'm sorry.
All right, that's Becky.
Yeah,
Twitter.
I've not
And Lily,
been
where can
good.
people follow you?
Chichi K Gomez at Twitter. On Twitter. And Becky was telling me the other day that when she tells her Siri to call me, it calls me Lily Shishi. Which is nice. It made me happy. I was like, that sounds so fancy.
Calling Lily Shishi Gomez Corman on FaceTime audio.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
My kids now know whose phones are mobile and not because they'll hear Siri. So, call Allie mobile. What's mobile? So you can follow me at Pancake4Table on Instagram and Twitter. You can follow all of it at pancake4table.com or FridayNightMoviePod.com. Please share this podcast with someone you know. We really love getting new listeners, and we love giving people shout-outs. So, yeah, come join our family for an hour. The music will kick in, the theme song by What Does It Eat? And if you'd like to hear more of me, I'm also on the Behind the Music podcast. And yeah, all right. So the music's kicking in, and we're dancing. And
Lots of dancing.
Lots of dancing. Love you guys. Have a great week.
Love you too. Have a great week.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I feel the same way about myself. Though,
I was
right now,
like,
so don't worry.
oh my God, really? He's like, why? He's like, oh, there's just a lot happening.
I feel like I look great today.